With Dark Phoenix coming up pretty soon, I'm continuing my X-Men reviews with X2 X-Men United. This is going to be a very brief review, like it's a lot shorter than my other reviews, and that's probably why I'm not setting a premiere for this. But mainly because there's not really much to talk about X2 X-Men United. It's honestly more or less the same from the first one. Now there are some really good things about this movie, like of course Hugh Jackman as always is a really great Wolverine. Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler is actually probably the most compelling character who's not Wolverine. Hell, his opening action sequence in the White House is spectacular. Like the effects for that look really good and still hold up today really well. The action is a little bit better than the first one. Like we get more combat scenes between characters who don't require extreme superpowers. Like for example with the Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike fight. That looks pretty good, even though there's not really much emotional weight behind it. And really that's my main problem with X2 X-Men United. There's not much emotional weight to anything in my opinion. It's just things just sort of happen. Like, the same problems I have with the first film are still in this movie. Like, for one, the politics, though they're trying to, put this in the real world and trying to have real world issues and discussions, that's not necessarily the case here. Like, it's just the same unbalanced politics. In this world, everyone hates mutants, and there's not very many people, hell, I don't know if there's any people in this film who's not already mutant that supports mutants. I'm like, that's not how the world works. Like, this would be an extremely polarizing issue. But again, that's just repeating what the first X-Men movie did. Other than the Nightcrawler effects, like where he poofs and just does a lot of cool shit, like in the beginning of the film, other than that, there's not much to be had with the visual effects in this film in general. Like, it's just generic and they don't really look all that great. So again, it's just more of the same from the first film. And there's one moment, especially around the end of this film, involving Jean Grey, which leads into X-Men 3, but I didn't really care all that much because they didn't develop her all that much. It's honestly, I forget a lot about her personality. I don't know if she had that much of a personality to begin with. It's supposed to be an emotional moment, but I don't really care that much about Jean Grey. And even then, what she's doing makes no sense because there's like a dozen other ways where they could get out of a certain situation that doesn't require her to do that specific thing. So it's like, why would you do that? Like I said, this review is very short, but really, that's because most of what I said about this movie you could also attribute to the first X-Men film. There's not really much to this movie. It tries to be deep, but it's not really deep, because the characters are just never really developed all that well. The political stuff could be interesting, but it's trying to reflect the real world, even though it's not realistic. Yeah, so I can't really recommend X2 X-Men United. It's just bland, it's just forgettable, and yeah, whatever. So yeah, what do you think of X2 X-Men United? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like, share the video so we can get the channel circulated. Don't forget to support my Patreon on my Patreon page, or if you can't do that, then consider supporting me through my PayPal donation button in the description below. And if you want to see more, click this.